89.1 FM Rich Radio. Hashtag Surmount Kalalitan Ka-Heaven.
Hello everyone. Mabuhay. An awesome day to all senior high school learners of Calanitan High School. I'm your Sir Mel Santos and welcome to another virtual learning session. I hope you guys are all ready for another study session right at the comforts of our homes in 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world. We are now on the second of the 7-part series of virtual learning for our topic 21st century literary traditions and forms from different cultures. On this episode, we will be talking about the developments of Chinese literature in relation to culture. Now have your paper and pen handy for note-taking along with your self-learning module as we are about to engage in another literary adventure. So set your mind and heart, have yourselves feeling at ease and focused to get the most out of learning from today's topic. So again, let's not forget about our learning goals for the entire 7-part series of this virtual learning. First, identify the 21st century literary traditions and forms of different cultures, notably Chinese literature on this episode. Distinguish the differences of these 21st century literary traditions and forms of different cultures from their established or classical literary conventions, and appreciate the 21st century literary developments of different cultures. So mga ka-heaven, let's get started to roll. We all know that Chinese civilization is the oldest of Asian civilization. Writing in China dates back to the Shang Dynasty of 1700 to 1050 BC. So you could imagine how vast Chinese literature is as it spans thousands of years. So it was the dynasties in China that framed the long history of Chinese literature. Chinese literary works include fiction, philosophical and religious works, poetry, and scientific writings. So in terms of the developments of Chinese culture, literature played a vital role in establishing religious and social belief. Taoism, Confucian literature, and other prominent religious and philosophical schools were the forms of literature that established and sustained the Chinese culture as we know now. These literary works deeply shaped Chinese philosophy and religion. So, Confucianism is an ancient Chinese belief system which focused on the importance of personal ethics and morality. While Taoism is an ancient Chinese philosophy and religion that instructs believers on how to exist in harmony with the universe. Confucianism became the dominant political philosophy of the several empires until modern times. The Confucian classics, which include the 5 classics and 4 books, were basically required knowledge in order to pass an examination for the bureaucracy of China. So you could imagine how the writings of Confucius had significantly influenced the governmental or bureaucratic and the political culture of China. The writings of Confucius were even used as a sort of evaluation instrument in choosing or qualifying people to work under the bureaucracy of China. In other words, Confucian philosophy or ideology had become one of China's instruments in the governance of the whole country until the modern times. Fast track to 1912, Sun Yat-sen led a revolution that marked the end of Chinese dynasties in which a clan rules an empire. Of course, the big change of Chinese society that happened with the change of government led to a change in literature. So ultimately, Chinese literature became westernized. The national government wanted women to have more of an equal status in society, and women writers and scholars were taken more seriously. There was a lot of politically oriented literature printed. Scholars had access to foreign literature, and many students studied abroad. Until about 1923, there was a new culture movement. Writers generally wanted to lead the way in transforming China into a modern, industrialized country and replacing Confucian lifestyle with a westernized one. Under the national government, there was some freedom of expression and lots of views and styles of literature were popular. 1949, Mao Zedong, who was a communist leader and founder of People's Republic of China, institutionalized every activity under firm control. Now, fast forward to the present time, according to David Dare Wei Wang, a Harvard professor of Asian Studies, the current Chinese writings mostly deal with science fantasy, which is a preferred genre in fiction writing. Their Wei notes the increasing use of internet as an important medium for the dissemination of political writings. At the present time, there was the emergence of Sinophone literature, which refers to literature written in Chinese by Chinese speaking writers in various parts of the world outside China, as distinguished from Chinese literature, which refers to the literary writings from inside China. So, Sinophone literature are still Chinese writings but were produced by writers not living in China or are of Chinese descent but probably migrants to another country. We all know that Asia in general is riddled with a phenomenon called diaspora. And I think Sinophone literature can be associated with the diaspora phenomenon of Chinese civilization. Diaspora is the movement, migration, or scattering of people away from an established or ancestral homeland. So the Chinese civilization is known for this phenomenon since time immemorial, right? A testament to that is seeing almost any country having a certain area almost exclusively for Chinese migrant community or what is often dubbed as Chinatown. Such as in the Philippines, it has a Chinatown area in Binondo, Manila, known as the oldest area for Chinese migrant communities in Southeast Asia or perhaps the whole of Asia. The thing with Chinese diaspora is, even when they do migrate, they will always try to preserve or continue to practice their Chinese culture. They will continue to speak their language, so practice their Chinese customs and tradition in the country where they migrated, which even how long-standing this Chinese diaspora has been that continues to the present time, their ability to speak their native language had been sustained or well kept and used by them. That probably led to the emergence of Sinophone literature, which again are Chinese writings in which writers are outside of China or are not necessarily living in China. Two of some of the famous 21st century Chinese writers include Bi Feiyu, whose works include short stories, novels, and novellas. His novels The Moon Opera and The Three Sisters are considered to be his most famous works. He has won several awards both in China and internationally, and his works have been translated into more than 20 languages. Yang Wanghing is one of the most influential writers of children's literature in China at present. She has written more than 80 fairy tales, children's novels, and essays in the course of her more than 30-year-long career. Her popularity in China has given her the nickname China's J.K. Rowling. Alright, that ends the second of the 7-part series of virtual learning on 21st century literary traditions and forms from different cultures. See you on the next episode. Bye for now mga ka-heaven!
89.1 FM Rich Radio. Hashtag Surmont Kalamitan Ka-Heaven.